In 1975, a woman named Cassandra May drove 2 hours out of her city, with a handgun in her glove compartment. She arrived at the home of James Wade at 3 in the morning. After knocking on his door, she proceeded to fire 3 shots. 20 minutes afterwards, she called the police and reported herself. She was found in her car smoking a cigarette and did not resist arrest. The man she killed had sexually assaulted her sister, who was 16 years old at the time. He was never convicted. She got 3 years in prison and was released on parole for good behavior. What did that story feel like to you? Liberating or horrifying? Well, I can tell you how it makes Bill Cosby feel terrified out of his mind. After being released from prison, Bill Cosby has publicly stated his greatest fear: being killed by someone who doesn't believe he deserves to be free. Do you think he deserves to fear violence? Where do his fears come from, and who is trying to hurt him? Bill Cosby has committed the kind of crime that even Hollywood can't protect him from. Today I'll be looking into the paranoid world of a man now convinced that somebody wants him dead. Remember to click the subscribe button and notification bell to stay updated on the latest Black Hollywood insider stories. Bill Cosby used to be the love child of American sitcom television across America. But during the years of the prime of his fame, people found out that the man who represented fatherly love, care, and safety was anything but in real life. Over 60 women filed cases for sexual assault, sexual harassment, and sexual misconduct and abuse against Bill Cosby. In his court case, he openly admitted to having used prescription drugs on women. Despite this, he tried to maintain a face of innocence in the public eye, but people were having none of it. Some of his alleged victims were children or underage minors. Would this make you hate Bill? There are plenty of people whose answer to that question is 100% yes. Year after year, more and more accusations and more evidence were brought in against the man. In the end, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison, of which he only served 3 years, and got parole because of his good behavior. He was released and has been in the public domain amongst his victims, haters, and defenders ever since. Since his release from prison, he has not been in the public eye very often. He has chosen to live in seclusion with his wife, Camille Cosby. A lot of stars experience unwarranted violence, whether they did anything to upset the public or not. Sometimes just being famous is a crime enough for people to hate you. But Bill's case is obviously different. People hate sex offenders, and they hate having them in their communities. They also especially hate when sex offenders are set free at a time below their maximum years for crimes they committed. No matter where Bill goes, it would have been pretty easy for him to collect enemies. There are no known reports of Bill being physically attacked or abused that have been released to the public. To this day, he has somehow managed to avoid physical harassment or violence at the hands of an outraged public, which even for an innocent celebrity is quite the feat. But this is probably because people have a new outlet, and they don't even have to leave their homes or run up a phone bill to use it: the internet. Did you know that a comedian doing stand-up was one of the first whistleblowers of Bill's crimes? In the same fashions of exposure, people have just gone to talking as much trash as they can about him every time he comes up. Long, angry paragraphs about how much they hate him, news presses about what a terrible person he is, and all that. It seems that people have gotten their fill of badmouthing what a terrible person he is instead of taking any violent and illegal actions against him. So, for the time being, unless you consider angry internet and social media messages to be violent, Bill Cosby has never been attacked. This makes Bill's suspicions seem a little paranoid. Why does he believe now, suddenly, that someone is willing to attack him or his family when it hasn't happened in that many years since the cases? Who does he believe would still be looking to hurt him after all this time? A lot of the publicity surrounding this statement is going to all lengths to frame Bill as an innocent victim of unjustified hatred, being targeted by violent people who want revenge on him for no reason. Everyone deserves their right to safety. But why is Bill's representative so insistent on pushing this narrative? Why is the public being informed that Bill Cosby is experiencing safety paranoia? Are we meant to feel sorry for him? Suspect that he is being overcome with the guilt of his crimes? Or are we being asked to humanize his experience of fear and sympathize with him? Let's look at the facts of the matter. Sources on Radar Online claim that he believes that a relative of one of his victims or someone seeking fame may kill him. This may seem like a pretty outdated notion to a lot of people, since he does not have a history of being physically attacked in any way. But just think about it. He's a celebrity of sorts, and famous people get attacked all the time. People definitely already hate him. The tools are already there for someone who is a little too eager to decide that this is their chance to get revenge or act on behalf of a victim. The motive is set and reliable. What he doesn't have yet is an actor. What that creates is a deep sense of paranoia. He knows that people have every reason to want to come after him. He just doesn't know how or when it may happen. Reports say that he and his wife are prisoners in their own home. They don't leave the house much or at all, and they constantly have security checks to ensure their safety. They never step out into the public eye too often or for too long. This is the way he lives to ensure that nobody has the chance to harm him or his wife. He claims he also has concerns about people who work with him as well as other family members. I think his fear reveals a deeply seated guilt and realization that people no longer see him as the sainted father on TV. They know who he really is now, and he believes that people would want him dead for that. For these reasons, his fear is somewhat justified. But we all can't deny that it makes him look a little bit guilty when he gets out of prison and is suddenly afraid the family member of a victim may want to inflict harm upon him or his family members. What is really concerning is that there has not been any news or public statement that he is in any way seeking help for these feelings. He could be affecting how safe his wife and family feel with his own fears, and that would be unfair on their mental health. But we have to consider where his wife fits into the whole equation. A lot of people are critical of her for standing by him despite his alleged crimes. This is an understandable critique. If someone defends a person who hurts others and sticks by them, people get angry. That's what a lot of people believe she is. She isn't the sort of person to make public statements about her motivations or her thoughts, so people have no idea what is running through her head. But why does she receive the same amount of hatred and vitriol as the alleged perpetrator? Does she deserve to live in fear as well? Does she deserve to live under the constant paranoia of a threat of violence? Some people believe that it isn't fair that she has to fear that she may be attacked for associating with her own husband. Others say that she puts herself in harm's way by staying so close to someone who is publicly hated and shunned by so many people. Bill believes that someone may also try to harm his family members for even being related to him. This did happen in Hollywood at the time and is a somewhat justifiable fear, as people may assume that they believe him or wish to protect him. His family members, although they're not in the industry, are much more active and in the public eye. Bill lives in seclusion, and his family members who are further from him have not been awarded the same luxury. They may well be in danger if someone with some radical idea decides that they are culpable in some way or deserve to be a target. Is this to be expected? When asked about the state of Bill Cosby, Andrew Wyatt told RadarOnline.com that we live in a weird world now where something like this can happen. But is this really weird? People have been predatory and violent towards celebrities for as long as they have existed. There is a tendency to believe that all the wacky behavior we experience now is only from our time, but Bill is hardly the first famous person to garner his very own cult of hatred, mostly maintained online. To this day, we have heard no evidence that Bill has any reason to believe that anyone in particular actively is or ever has tried to harm him. The only reports we hear are about the fact that he is afraid it might happen. There's a chance this statement is being used to stir up sympathy publicity for Bill Cosby or bring him back into the social center of conversation. He won't let us forget him. His representative has a legal incentive to frame Bill a certain way. so we should all remain a little vigilant when taking their statements at face value. Click on this next video to stay caught up on another Black Hollywood story just like this one. Do you think Bill deserves to feel scared?